Hey, everybody. Fascinating guest today, a leader in investment accounting technology. We're going to talk so many topics from AI to compliance, client experience, and the future of wealth management. Brian, how are you?
Doing great today. Thanks, Evan. Nice to come on board and get a chance to catch up with you today.
Yeah, thanks for being here. You have a very interesting bio and background. Maybe start with that. Introduce yourself, your background, and your journey over the last couple of decades.
Great. Yeah, thanks. Thanks for the invitation, opportunity to talk. I've been in software in various different capacities for a number of years. Maybe too long is what I would look at it, back from the old desktop days all the way into a lot of the early cloud and SaaS items around that. So I'd been spent a lot of time really focusing on kind of business to business software in various different verticals and I'd say niches. In some cases, from going in and taking the first AI intellectual property product out into the market back in the early 2010s with a company called IP.com. Really understood a lot of the headwinds of getting patent searchers to adopt a new way to find information about intellectual property using AI, all the way to e-commerce, where I spent a bit of time bringing in AI to help shoppers understand product and understand what they're looking at. And recently had an opportunity to go into the fintech world, where got appointed as the CEO of a Montreal-based company called Wealth Write-Up that offers a product for investment accountants and others to go through and look at their portfolios, really provide real true accounting systems around that. And it's been an area where taking a bit of the AI side, once again, kind of a theme, bringing in AI to areas that haven't necessarily adopted it and been necessarily thought of at the forefront of it. So now where I'm at now is doing the same to see what we can do to transform the world of investment accounting using really a combination of rigor, things that accountants do, using AI to really look at where it applies and where it goes in to improve the way in which people work and interact.
Fascinating. Well, let's talk about accounting. We'll start there as an industry that's ripe for change, disruption, and there are many opportunities. An industry that's kind of old school, right? I mean, I don't think we have ticker tape around anymore, but
Maybe a few
certainly
places, but yeah, exactly.
accountants love to do things the way they've always been done. So, talk Gen I and AI in accounting. How do you see AI specifically being used today? And what are the big opportunities to kind of reshape the field and client relationships tomorrow?
Well, I think you look at it with AI. I mean, really, it's an interesting part. It's there's AI or die has been one parts where a lot of others have looked, and candidly, there are limitations, and there's areas where AI can really accelerate a lot of work as well. And we look at it from anywhere that I've been focusing on and my journeys in the past. What is automation? And really what the way is, what automation is a way to look at to say, okay, are there tasks that are repetitive, that have predictable outcomes that we can apply technology to go through and really improve the behavior of that? So ultimately, almost like going back years ago when people would take going through and digging ditches, then came front loaders, then came other ways to go in and automate that. AI really isn't much different in that part. Is what it's able to do is process enormous sums of data and come with predictable outcomes based on that. And that's how these GPTs work, and a lot of other parts on that is really statistical modeling tools. So we take that for accounting, an old school area where you deal with very precise numbers, extreme precision, extreme rigor. Then you have to apply rules. You have to apply a lot of transformations and other parts around that. And we found that there's ways to really expedite a lot of the general kind of repetitive tasks, going through and taking broker statements that people have and feeding that into an accounting system, being able to go through and look for anomalies that may occur inside of numbers and all that. So really the way I look at it is AI in the future of accounting provides a way for efficiency to be driven into the whole process. So for example, what's called a write-up, thus the name of our Wealth Write-Up for a company. A write-up is that whole process of going in, taking troves of data. So sometimes a high net worth individual, a family office, may have over 100,000 transaction items in a year: stock sales, private equity investments, basic capital calls, all these various different forms that are out there. That data has to get put in, processed, and dealt with. And historically, and even today, rooms of people will enter a lot of the data in. The problem is you look at what's the real value of that. There isn't strategic value. And that's the part we look at is what can an accountant be? When I pay for my accountant for my own business and we're the ones that we work with, we like to get to where they become a strategic advisor. So they can come in and say, all right, well, you're spending here, or maybe with you're taking these particular items, here's where you can have better tax treatment or other parts around there. So we see at this part, the accountants have relationships with customers. They're trusted and being additionally to where they can certify. So they have the fiduciary ability to say, yeah, these are compliant with laws, and this is really what they would sign off to, but also giving them time where they can take what might have been something to take months. And I've seen upwards of $100,000 in professional fees to go in and crunch and punch in data. And this is an area where AI, just one of many, is a way to go through and just deal with a lot of back office processes and parts like that. So that's a part where just makes it easier and just giving people that ability to automate and see things a lot faster, just to get the machine running quicker as we look at it.
Brilliant. So, when it comes to accounting firms, family offices as well, they're very traditional, very cautious about adopting new technology. So why change? What's the shift towards more modern accounting, computing applications, et cetera?
Yeah, it's funny you bring that in. I look at it from it's an interesting part. I can kind of go back and clearly the contracts we're signing for some of the larger Big Four and others that we work with. There's a lot around AI and how we deal with it, and you can see we're sort of figuring it out where it goes in and around that. I think the impetus is if I go back a couple of years ago and I go back to when we were bringing in AI, we didn't even use the term AI when we were selling a search engine to patent examiners and others. And it was a case where they would look at it and we had to explain in new terms. Well, this is a big data solution. This is a way where it can recognize patterns and go through and find parts there. So we were really being very evangelical about, okay, here's your approach. We had to take a very pointed point of view to get people to lean into it and look into it. And once again, in other organizations where there's billions of dollars at stake around patent searches and others, but we were able to demonstrate that. I think we're accounting, it's an interesting part where we're seeing somewhat of a similar part where there's a degree of skepticism. There was recently, Thomson Reuters came out with a study in accountants were some of the slower ones to adopt this technology with skepticism. And that's the thing our clients have a lot. I'll give an example. One contract we signed, there's a very clear opt-out clause where the client wants the ability to explicitly opt out of AI in a solution if they see it. So we obviously respect that and bring that in, but it also speaks to a louder sense. There's that question of where it comes in parts where I think that we're seeing a lot and really from what our view is with customers in adopting this technology is it's their clients that are asking for it. Their clients are pushing, everyone plays with ChatGPT, plays with the other parts around that. And there's an area where it's sort of clients going to accountants saying, hey, where's AI with this part? Certainly boardrooms have been pushing companies to it. And candidly, 90% of a lot of the AI projects at corporations have not had the success that they've wanted. But it's an area where there's that demand that's getting pushed out there just because of, as we look at it, the belief of what it can do in other parts around that. So it is kind of interesting.
Well, caution is good. Even big companies like Microsoft Copilot functions in Excel, there was an article this week, warns be careful about using Copilot in Excel for any task requiring accuracy or reproducibility. So
yeah,
that may turn a few accountants off, but it's not just a tool for their internal or personal productivity. Gen AI and AI are being used to really enhance across the board customer experiences. But what does that mean for client experiences, which is very intimate, as you say? How does more advanced accounting software improve that client experience?
Yeah, it's a good point. You look at it where it comes in. A lot of the value, it's the kind of two unlocks. There's the part where certainly there's a lot of price pressure. There's other items around that. That's where the customer experience, they're getting what they would deem better for that part. So that's a big driver. As I look at it, people love the use cases, and when you're selling a business case to a client, there's the awesome things that they love to have. And then, okay, bottom line, how do the dollars and cents actually work? Especially since we're dealing with accountants, they know this stuff inside and out as we go into. So the part we've looked at with accounting firms and others have been going in and really with clients, what's excitement is like, okay, we have this. Can I For example, if I'm going to go sell stocks and shares, can I come up with data? Well, before it might have been a whole process of taking time and looking at it and seeing that there's parts. Now they can come back with a very quick, even if it's not perfect, but a time-sensitive answer saying, yeah, we've modeled and we can see this is where you're concentrated in these stocks. You have a lot of losses here. There's a pool of data you can tap into. So the insights that once again, accountants can come back into and really reposition themselves to be strategic advisors, saying, we're the guardians of your data. We are going to sign up for really saying that this is certified, this is something that's been audited. We're also employing a lot of tools that can bring in and identify even more items, fraud opportunities and other parts there. So they really get to that area where they're going in and being able to. And part of it is just the clarity, simplicity, and confidence in what they can do for their clients at this part. So that whole experience from onboarding, where a new client comes in, maybe a high net worth individual, a family office, they're bringing in all their holding companies, all that information that's out there, digging the information, digging through it, and then being able to apply that into a tool set very quickly, where clients then can be responsive. They can give them better view. They can be more strategic. And that's part of the value that AI, it may not give you the right answer, but it can, and that's part of the caution with it. But at the same time, it can give you areas to point at and maybe help visualize and compress and compact large data sets into something that's at least tangible and reviewable at this part.
Wow, that's really empowering. So, longer term, there is a fear or worry that AI will replace accountants, and that you'll have, your accounting avatar just on your laptop, and that person, that thing, does your books. So, how do you think about that challenge, and how do you position, yourself as a partner versus their replacement in the future?
It's funny. I went in front of one of our largest customers. Has they're a family office, a multi-family office, so they provide family office services for many other wealthy families in Canada, and they have armies of accountants and other folks that provide various different family office services. And was sitting there. One of the people who brought us in, our executive sponsor, pulled me aside and said, "Hey, Brian, you're going to be talking to data entry people and others about using AI and automation. We want to be sensitive. We don't want to upset them to what their jobs are. Their job's going to go away." Well, the reality and I pointed out, I said, okay, fair enough. I'm not here to tell, hey, you guys are all irrelevant in another year or so. Part of it is I clearly don't think that's the case. And I look at it where AI is there. It's just like when people were digging ditches years ago, and suddenly automation came in, or people were picking crops off of the land years ago, and now there's combines, there's other items that are out there in farming that have provided massive leverage for labor and activity. So the way I look at it this is a similar thing, but for kind of the last bastion of white collar professionals. So it's absolutely going to have an impact. There's no question that where it is. And that's what's going to force is a lot of value and valuation. Okay, what are you generally doing to drive value? And can you learn these tools and understand their weaknesses and strengths that are out there around that? So kind of the man versus machine, as we would look at it from there, it's there, but those that can go in and harness it, understand it, and use it to where they can do their jobs better, so they can provide information back and forth. That was part of where I looked at it with these people inputting data. My comment to them was clear. I said, look, yeah, this is here. It's not to replace you. You're going to still have to review this information. You're still going to have to put it in, but you're not going to be keying things and getting a lot of pressure for errors. You're not a commodity. You're now a person where your brain's going to be more plugged in to look at the data that's coming in, and you can accelerate this. I mean, candidly, this customer, their business is growing 25% per annum. And it's an area where they can't hire people fast enough, and the people keying in data hate it. So now it's an area where now processing more data, getting more insights and other parts around there, they really embraced it. And I think from there, framing it and explaining it, there's parts. I think too, at the same part, back to your original question, is it going to be a GPT? There's someone says, hey, do this accounting. There's always that view of that. And will at some point, aspects of it for certain. And I can't predict in pure certainty, but I've been doing this for 10, 15 years and looking at AI into other parts around that. There is a level of trust that us as human beings have to have around the technology. I think we have to be suspicious of what it comes out with, because it doesn't always have the right answers. We need to upskill ourselves to understand it, interact with it, and use it. And then from there, we'll get better benefits that come out across the board. So it'll definitely benefit. But there's going to be that part where people are going to have to go in that AI or die, as I was saying earlier, of really adopting it and bringing it into wealth management and wealth accounting, which will be a key part. And it'll change, but it'll be good.
I think it will be. And the other opportunity is in multi-jurisdictional kind of areas. You live and work in Canada and the US. And there seems like so much opportunity to streamline areas like compliance and taxation and risk across jurisdictions. That seems like low-hanging fruit today for your software, other software.
Very good point. You look at it from there with, we're seeing more and more with family offices. So they'll generate a lot of wealth, and they'll look at it and say, okay, there's different jurisdictions to go into, and the younger members may in Canada decide they want to build a business in the States, or vice versa, or in Europe. So there's a lot of different repatriation. There's different rules. There's different parts around there that go in. And clearly what we've focused on, certainly in our product, we've provided rigor and flexibility. So the rigor is there's pure, true, acid-tested accounting to where we can go through. The rules are here. They're inflexible. They will enforce what the law comes in. So when we look at cross-jurisdiction, then you couple with AI where you can ask questions by having a trusted source of data. We look at it from a relevance augmented generation, as it's called, looking at a custom set of data where you can ask questions and then get prospective answers around that about what does it take to sell shares around this. Certainly with the U.S. administration and just the world's trade will be changing, certainly, whether good or bad, who knows what life will bring in, but there's change going afoot. And these are things that there's a lot of contemplation, certainly for high net worth individuals, as to where it makes sense for their business investments that they go into. So that's really where we've been a lot involved. Is there is that ability. We need to get fast data. Can we go in and provide quick data? What are tax liabilities? What does their general ledger look like? What are all the various different parts that are going in? And what does it look like to have entities where you're now saying, all right, rather than having a holding company in Canada, do we put it in the US? What does it look like to move profits back and forth and other parts around that with respect to securities and other investments that may happen? And this is clearly an area that we see more and more going in. Data is going to be there. There's more and more complexity. There's definitely more and more regulations that change on a regular basis. And these are the things that, once again, years ago, people going in with Excel spreadsheets, and even before that, ticker tapes and book ledgers. Now it's an area where you're dealing with massive amounts of data between different parts that we need to go in and understand. And that's where we continue to see that. And that's a part where we're clearly, what we view that we can be a strategic partner in trying to go and help and unlock a lot of that others will go into. And it goes back to that strategic advisor aspect for us to look at as well.
Got it. So over the next few years, there's something called the Great Wealth Transfer that will happen as boomers transfer wealth to their children, grandchildren. I'm sure many kids, grandkids want that to happen faster and sooner.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
Maybe describe the phenomenon or what's happening here and how it will impact, companies like yourself, but also the industry.
Yeah, these are certainly in our business, working with high net worth individuals and family offices and others. There's an enormous, regardless, even if people have a family office or not, there's a lot of planning that goes in. And this is where certainly we wrote software to deal with the different forms. It's a case of, you look at, do you set up, what does it mean to sell shares? Should you have a trust at this part to go in and look at how you would go in and distribute? Are there different tax jurisdictions that make more sense where you can transfer wealth? And one of the problems that classically happened in Canada for years was the inheritance taxes, where somebody may build $1 billion company, and upon passing it down, part of it, they would have to sell the company because they couldn't afford the tax, or they'd have to sell part of it by transferring from generation to generation. So a lot of these questions are there, and it takes a lot of careful planning, but data-based planning where people can go in and look at that. So there is, exactly as boomers have worked a bit longer than other generations, into their 70s in many cases. My parents are boomers. I can attest to that part, where there is trillions of dollars that will be changing hands at this part, and clearly into different generations. So a lot of it is, how do you manage around that in this part? So there's a lot of different parts with, we look at with legacy and family governance as a lot of it. sort of the from going from the first generation, the second generation, and third generation. The family offices are there to protect that generational wealth. So a lot of it is where we've gone in, we purpose built software to really help in that process of being able to put those entities together and go in and around that. That's where we've seen a real niche and a need, I mean, more than a niche in many cases. But this is where we've looked at it. And yeah, this goes into where people may go in even above and beyond just transferring from here's one investment company to others. You may see a third generation that doesn't want to operate the company. Or there may be, we've seen others where the third generation doesn't want to sell, or the second generation may not want to be involved with it. So there's all kinds of things around disputes and other parts that get resolved. Family office, multifamily office companies and other advisors are really good at navigating that. We provide a tool set to give hard data. Say, okay, here's what it looks like. Here's what it is to manage it. Here's where it is to really go in and see what it takes based on the goals that people would set. And this goes back into what may have been a pure accounting firm years ago, crunching numbers. Now they can shift their business to say, now we're involved in strategic advising to say, yeah, here's where you should think about your legacy, maybe philanthropic goals, succession planning, all those business services that instead of writing a $200,000 or $1 million check to just get numbers crunched, they can now get better advice and other parts around that as well.
Well done. Very, very impressive. So we're headed into the busy fall run up to the end of year for many companies. What are you looking forward to? What's on your radar over the next few weeks and months?
It's crazy with this market too. It's been in certainly the e-commerce market when involved with business to business and business to consumer. We always knew the fourth quarter was no technology adoption, right? Certainly after Thanksgiving in the US, Black Friday, all the way into the holidays. And in this part, we're finding with the accountant world, similar case, you have Q1, can't get a hold of anyone on the phone. They're doing taxes. They're getting things ready. In the Q2 for people that may have a March 31 year end. And there's different things. So we certainly see the busy seasons with the dips and areas from sales versus support and different parts around that. So certainly where we are now, the short term, we're getting ready into a busy season. The other is we're pretty excited with our products. We went in. Our company goes back, its heritage is 25 years. We had a desktop product that was written by accountants to deal with these problems, realizing that, okay, we've got thousands of Excel spreadsheets with stock schedules and all this. How do you even keep it in check? So 1999, they looked at it. A couple of accountants got together and said, we can use a computer to kind of put this together and ask more simplistic questions or more structured questions to accounting professionals to come up with that. And that was really the genesis of it. So with that, we went into a full cloud version, kind of being the first in our space. And we've got some interesting AI adoption and AI capabilities we're bringing in as well. So we've got new product releases in the next couple of months that are coming out as we continue to work with it. And now we're seeing the rapid adoption season where a lot of our clients were looking at it saying, okay, we want to go on a modern platform, but we're also now open for business, looking at ways that they can get things done. So it's fourth quarter. There's a lot going on. There's sort of that breadth of not having to do the end of year activities, but there's always the day to day, and then that chance where our clients can look at, okay, how can we fundamentally improve our business now? We can better suit their customers. That's where we've gotten involved in those parts as well. So it's definitely, we took a little break. I can't say a slight break in the summer, but now it's guns a-blazing and keeping busy right now.
Well, congratulations on all the success, and have a great autumn. It's our time to thrive here in the Northeast, North America. So we like that. And thanks for sharing your insights. I learned a lot.
No, thank you. No, it's happy to do it. And really, it's an interesting part. Accounting, we always thought, hey, it's kind of there and done. But there's always the stereotype of accountants. But at the end of the day, it's actually a lot more fun than what I thought in a good way. So definitely enjoying the time and enjoying the challenges that it poses as well.
Fantastic. Well, thanks for being here. Thanks everyone for listening, watching, sharing, and checking out the new TV show, TechImpact.tv, now on Bloomberg and Fox Business. Thanks, Brian. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Thanks, Evan.